The Mid-Atlantic Ridge comes from about 3 kilometers depth in the ocean, rises out of the sea right over here, and then is exposed in a most amazing way at this place called Pingvellir. This was also the place where Iceland set up its first parliament over 1,000 years ago, the longest living parliamentary government on the planet. And it's very significant because on the right side here, because we're looking south, you can see that we're on the North American plate. And on the left side here, we're on the European plate. So right here, it's kind of hard to know which plate you're on. You're kind of in what they call the no man's zone between the two plates. But you can actually see the rift axis. You can see what we call the fault scarp, where the Earth is being split apart like this. So let's say that if you split this apart, this drops, and it's called a graben right here, okay? And that's what we're in. If you look over there, you can see the mountains that are in the European plate. And if you look over here, you can see the mountains that are on the North American plate. But the reason why the ridge is actually so high here and actually emerges out of the sea is because underneath it is what we call a mantle plume that's come all the way from the core. The heat from the core caused the mantle to become more buoyant, and so it rose up like this, and it took that ridge and lifted it right up out of the ocean. It also has a lot more magma where the hot spot or the mantle plume is than on other parts of the ridge, and so you get this amazing amount of magma pouring out here. But at the same time, the magma is using the cracks to get to the surface. So the magma uses the crack to get to the surface, and it builds an edifice, and then the cracks keep pulling apart. And so the lava, the youngest lava flows here, are actually broken by continuous activity of the rift system. And in a global reference frame, it's actually Europe, which is stationary. And it's this part that we're standing on here, the North American part of this rift, that's moving away from Europe. So the ridge actually moves from east to west at just a few centimeters a year. But it's not being moved by what's underneath it. It's being moved because the North American plate itself is being sucked to the west by the fact that there's a subduction zone underneath the western edge of it. That subduction zone is rolling back, and North America is moving away from Europe like this. And as it does so, the rift is accommodating